One of the bumpier roads in Bozeman is finally getting a facelift, but one of the detours might be causing some issues.
The Trump administration and congressional leaders have reached a critical budget agreement. I'm Laura Podesta with details on why this could eliminate the risk of another government shutdown.
Good morning and welcome to your Tuesday. Coming right up on 6:30, I'm Missy O'Malley with Chet Lehman. And Matt Ella has our forecast here in just a moment. Our top story, as Cody Boyer just mentioned, Cottonwood Road in Bozeman is going through a major revamp process.
It's a $5 million improvement plan. That's the upside. MTN's Cody Boyer takes a look at the downside.
It was a turbulent ride, I'd say, to put it mildly.
Celine Valentin is not talking about a recent flight. To her, that's just how you describe another drive down Cottonwood.
Cottonwood's been very troublesome ever since the thaw this spring. 12 inches deep at minimum. They tried to patch them, the patches came out.
Something I've been getting familiar with too, alongside many that drive the stretch every day. As of recently, this is new, a detour bringing the traffic of Durston and Cottonwood to Celine and Erica Thompson's neighborhood.
There are tons of children in this neighborhood. I see little 3-4-year-olds running around on their little bikes all the time, and they're not prepared for this traffic. They're not used to it.
Even just coming out for going to work, it just takes quite a bit of extra time waiting for all the traffic to go by.
One after the other, after the other, after the other, and it's not just during the day.
There's significant traffic noise until really late at night and early in the morning that would normally be through Cottonwood and Durston, so it's definitely been troublesome.
Take those living close to Cascade Street, for example. They're afraid that this detour might bring some people here close to places like this, near the playground. They're also worried that if that happens, some people might not mind the speed limit through here.
The speed limit is 15 through there, and a lot of people are trying to cut this detour by going through that park, and they're coming through at 25, 30 miles an hour.
When you look at Cottonwood, though, both Celine and Erica agree that something needed to be done. Judging by the little mementos left by cars that hit the bad side of a pothole, the holes needed to go.
It's a good thing overall, especially for the high school. It's just a tough detour to have to deal with temporarily.
Bozeman City engineer Sean Coates says the $5 million project goes far beyond putting down Band-Aids.
We basically want to take that street configuration that is south of Babcock and extend that north all the way past the new high school.
And when you're talking expanding a road this big, that takes time. Coates says all of this won't be done until next summer, but the roadblock shouldn't take that long.
Ideally, we'll have at least pavement down on everything before the winter time comes.
That could still mean that this detour will last a while.
Just hopefully everyone will keep going slow. We've got lots of animals, lots of kids in this area.
Coates says what you see here is all just utility work that needs to be done before the road can be rebuilt back on top of it. Once that's done, the detour might change. In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
It is a mess through there, and you gotta take it slow through those neighborhoods.
That's the answer right there. Just
be patient.
Find a different route.
We've been talking about it on the MTN Road Report on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. It's just here.
Yeah.
Give yourself
construction
a little extra
season,
time.
winter and construction season.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the two.
There's a lot of truth to that. Also looking at the heat building, finally it feels a little more summer-like. Temperatures this morning have been fairly warm. It's finally cooled off a few degrees this morning, but the afternoon is going to be warm again. There are a few showers showing up on radar. Shouldn't amount to much early. It's the afternoon that holds that potential of thunder showers. I don't think it's widespread, but we do have a pretty good chance of seeing some showers or thunderstorms on through the mid-evening. We're going to talk more about the timing of that and what you could expect heading into the weekend. That's all coming up in a few minutes.
Ooh, weekend.
I love the sound of that.
Yeah, wow.
6:33 back on the national scene now. I'm still thinking about the weekend. President Trump and congressional lawmakers have cut a 2-year budget deal, averting a potential shutdown and default by the federal government.
CBS's Laura Podesta has the latest this morning from New York City.
The White House and Congress reached an agreement on a critical budget resolution last night. President Trump announced the deal on Twitter, writing that it contained no poison pills and adding, quote, "This was a real compromise in order to give another big victory to our great military and vets." The budget, which still has to be approved by the House and Senate, suspends the national debt ceiling for 2 years. The deal increases spending by $320 billion, according to a congressional aide.
Very important that we take care of our military. Our military was depleted. And in the last 2.5 years, we've undepleted it.
Republicans had been seeking steep spending cuts. In a statement, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said that while the agreement wasn't perfect, the GOP had to compromise. Deficit hawks within the party disagreed. The head of the Republican Study Committee said the budget endorses runaway spending.
We're deeply concerned that many of our colleagues have no regard for the debt or the deficit or rise in inflation or any of those concerns, and that they'll just spend us into bankruptcy if it's allowed.
The negotiations were led by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. In recent weeks, Mnuchin had warned that the federal government was in danger of running out of cash by the end of the summer. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
The House is expected to vote on that measure at some point this week. The Senate would have 1 week then to approve that bill before Congress leaves for its summer recess.
Back here in the Treasure State now, 6:35. A hiker is safe after officials with Gallup County Search and Rescue say she was injured while hiking in the Bridgers.
And get this, she drove herself to the hospital. A 24-year-old woman was hiking alone about 4 miles from the Corbly Gulch trailhead. When she hurt her ankle, she was unable to walk.
Fortunately, she was able to get help from others nearby who called search and rescue. 2 motorcyclists passing by found the hiker, helped get her to those rescue personnel.
And once she was back in her car, she was able to drive herself the rest of the way to the hospital.
Wow. Awesome.
Incredible.
Also, state officials say weather conditions in Montana aren't as dry as they could be, but fire danger is going to grow this week.
The governor's Drought and Water Supply Advisory Committee says this right now, that a lot of western Montana is abnormally dry, and some areas in the northwest are moderately.
Michael Richmond is a meteorologist with the Northern Rockies Coordination Center, said the fire danger across the state would be much worse if it hadn't been a relatively cool spring and early summer. But since this week is expected to be much warmer and drier, the risk, of course, will increase.
We have had a lot of lightning over the past several weeks, especially over the timbered areas in the mountains, thousands of lightning strikes. So there certainly would be some holdover fires that are just sleeping in the dead fuels, just kind of creeping around. And this kind of weather will make them more active, but they will also be able to see where they are.
Richmond said long-range forecasts suggest western Montana will see higher than average temperatures in the next 2 months, which of course could extend the fire season.
No doubt about that. We're thinking, well, yay, we're in the clear at least for now, but it could be quite extended. Now, on a related note, if it seems that your itchy nose and watery eyes just won't go away, and I can certainly attest to this, you are not alone.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of people experiencing severe allergies this year because of the grass pollen season. Came a little late and a very wet spring and early summer. Rain clears the air, but it also makes plants grow, and those healthy plants, of course, pollinate.
And many times it's more than just the nose or the eyes. It's the itchy palate. It's the itchiness deep in the ears. It's the itchy throat. It's the fatigue. And that's what really gets people to the point that they're having their quality of life is being interfered with.
Now, for the best ways to deal with severe allergy symptoms, talk to your doctor or check out some practices that we're doing here at KPCK.
There you go.
Yeah.
6:37 and other headlines this morning. Bozeman School District updating its policy when it comes to service animals.
MTN's M. Hamilton has that story.
Montana state law has followed federal law, which states that schools must allow students with disabilities to either have a trained service dog or miniature horse. Now, that miniature horse might sound silly, but it's sturdy and able to help students who struggle with walking. When it's not obvious what a service animal is providing for the student, the district is only able to ask 2 questions.
Is this required because of the disability? And the second question is, what task has it been trained to perform? So those are the only 2 questions we can ask of the animal.
The Bozeman School District's policy currently has other animals included in it, and the Montana School Board Association is recommending the board decides to make its policy the same as federal and state law. Even though the law says that the school district must allow service animals, when it comes to emotional support animals, it's a different story.
So there's a process that you have to go through, and to allow that to happen because of the training and everything else. So that would be a whole different circumstance than federal law.
Special education handles this process when it comes to an emotional support animal to ensure it's fair for everyone.
I empathize with the position that some of these kids are in. There are some mental situations that I really feel for the kids, and And we want to do what's best for everybody involved. So we're going to look at things through that lens and make sure everybody gets a fair shot at it.
Reporting in Bozeman, Emma Hamilton, MTN News.
Now, last year, there were 4 service animals within the district, and the board plans to revisit and decide upon that policy next month.
Shifting gears a bit here at 6:39, brisket, that slow-cooked staple of Southern barbecue, fast becoming a high-end delicacy. Got to be making some in Montana ranchers very happy. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the price has climbed around 11% in the last year. What's behind the increase? Experts say it's simply a case of supply being unable to keep up with the rising demand.
Oh boy, that does look good.
Demand is high right now.
Is it time for breakfast? We do have to take a quick break. Stay with us in a moment.